Rise and shine. This is your morning Buzzcast for Thursday, September 18th. I'm Austin Karp, joined by my colleagues Chris Smith, Bret McCormick, and Joe Lemire. We just wrapped up over 2 days of content at the Intercontinental in downtown Los Angeles at our SBJ AXS Drive event. Went over facilities, franchises, ticketing, and analytics. We're going to give our biggest takeaways from this year's event. First, I'm going to go to our facilities fan experience ticketing reporter, Bret McCormick. Bret, what was your biggest takeaway from this year's event?
Yeah, in the pursuit of new revenue streams for the sports business industry, I think that we hit on 2 of them repeatedly this week, which are mixed-use development, money that doesn't have to be shared in collective bargaining agreements, but also that it may not buy you a new pitcher, but it's going to create a healthier ecosystem, more diverse business for sports teams, and help them control their experience as well. And then fan loyalty programs. So I had a panel on that yesterday and received 14 questions on the iPad during the panel, which for those who don't know is a lot of questions. And one of them was, we're asking for a friend if they are launching a fan loyalty program this year, what were the 2 things or 3 things that they should know? So, I mean, literally somebody in the audience, I didn't find out who, if you're listening, feel free to email me, but is launching a program and was trying to figure that out. So there's a lot of potential for fan loyalty programs because they reach all levels of fans, all levels of sports, and all parts of the sports organization. Like every bit of a team is getting involved now. So that was my 2 takeaways, I think, from this couple of days.
Well, Bret, as an Orioles fan, I am interested in how to buy a pitcher. So if anybody does have ideas on that, please let me know. Joe Lemire, biggest takeaways from this year's AXS Drive event.
One of my takeaways is how many titles Bret McCormick has. You listed several different beasts that he has. I have no idea how he keeps up with all of them, but he does a great job. So kudos to you, Bret.
Amen, brother.
You got it. In the pursuit of other revenue streams, the other one that came up today, and maybe this is specific to certain sports more than others, but Dodger CEO Stan Kasten was talking about the need for further international expansion and growth in Major League Baseball. Certainly the Dodgers themselves have been a really good case study in Japan especially, but they also played games in Korea last year and then in Japan this year. Shohei Ohtani, of course, is a major driver of that. CMO Lon Rosen was on stage as well and even brought a prop of a Shohei Ohtani bobblehead just to punctuate that point. But they discussed how baseball has lagged behind perhaps some other sports, and they see a real opportunity there. The other area of note for me is that in my panels, many of which involved the use of AI and analytics to drive decision-making, there was a lot of encouragement from the panelists to the audience to, fail fast, try things out. Matthew Jafarian of the Miami Heat and 601 Analytics talked about getting started and how sometimes the AI can be very helpful, even if it's only giving you 85% of the answer. All of a sudden, that's a huge amount of productivity saved for the employee. He and Jim Caruso of Elevate gave a lot of good case studies of how AI is already helping in their businesses and could help for others. And it sort of echoes a point that David Long of the Trailblazers had said the day before. And he said, don't fret the tech. And the idea being that people in the organization shouldn't worry about what they think tech can or cannot do. Have an open mind. And Sean True of OVG also talked about this too. Like, start with the problem, and then the tech people on staff are going to be able to help you solve that.
Joe, you talked about the panel that we had with the Dodgers, Lon Rosen and Stan Kasten. And Kasten, tongue-in-cheek, was talking about, when asked about participation of Major League Baseball players in the 2028 Olympics, he said, we may have a few pitchers that might be interested in potentially playing in a gold medal game at Dodger Stadium. And that kind of got me thinking, like, what would the crowd kind of look like if the U.S. was again playing Japan in a gold medal game at Dodger Stadium? That would probably be a really interesting mix to watch on TV.
Yeah, and it's a real opportunity, not only the LA 28 games, but another World Baseball Classic coming up. And we all remember Ohtani closing out for Japan, facing Trout. A lot of growth opportunity right now.
Yeah, we saw Netflix just acquire rights to the WBC in Japan for that next iteration. People need to remember those games in Japan, when Japan is playing in the WBC, those are NFL playoff size numbers for a country that is way smaller in terms of population. So incredibly popular event when Team Japan is playing the WBC. I want to go now to Chris Smith, our finance reporter. A lot of money talk around this event. What was your biggest takeaway?
I've got 2 for you, Austin. First, sticking with the Japan theme, is apparently the power of Hello Kitty. Heard from chief revenue officers of the Warriors and Angel City, both of whom said they were very skeptical. They didn't believe in Hello Kitty nights and what they could do They trusted their marketing teams and apparently blew the doors off of those theme nights with Hello Kitty. So that was a big learning for me. I was totally unaware that was a possibility.
And that's pretty funny because Jim Caruso, one of the examples he gave of the use of AI was he was advising a team and they'd said, hey, here are 5 possible nights that we might have for promotions. And they ran through the audience data, the fan data they had collected on that team. And they said, actually, these 5 are probably more likely the ones you want. And so sometimes it really does take that outside perspective to hit the nail.
So keep an eye out. More Hello Kitty nights on the way, I'm guessing. More seriously, and industry-wide, I was focused a lot on perhaps the most fundamental revenue stream for a lot of teams, which is ticketing. And there's a real theme this week about how teams are approaching the question of flexing their pricing power, raising ticket prices, but trying not to price out their most hardcore, diehard, low-income or middle-class fans. This is a challenge that is facing the entire industry. It's one that's being covered now a lot, especially in women's sports, right? The rise of the WNBA. A lot of these teams now, they're tremendous success, tons of popularity, lots of people want to go to games, and all of a sudden the people who have been going to games for years and years and years, right, season ticket holders since the team's very first day are now getting priced out, no longer go to the games. And we heard from people across the industry on how they're trying to tackle this, right? Obviously, none of them want to push those fans out of the building. And Laura Flynn from Angel City talked about trying to craft the product mix, as she described it, right? Could you squeeze premium more while keep prices down for the more general admission?
Subsidize.
There you go. And we heard sort of the importance of data in that, right? How many of these teams are leaning on their insights teams and their data rooms to really pull out where can you put your foot down on the gas, push prices up, maximize monetization revenue, and where do you need to pull back, right? And ensure that you're actually focusing on fan engagement, fan experience, as John Bevan from the Warriors put it, focusing on value and not price. And so I thought that was a fascinating theme from the very start with Dan Beckerman from AEG on Monday night, straight through to the very end here in Los Angeles. So that was my big takeaway, my big focus for the week, Austin.
Guys, I talked about it on yesterday's Buzzcast. I was really excited to get to Dodger Stadium. We took a crowd of around 300 attendees to the Phillies-Dodgers game. Really great experience. I mean, this ballpark, the best way I can kind of explain it to people is for anybody who's seen the new Fantastic Four movie, it has that 60s feel, but with modern technology. So a really great ballpark to get to. If you haven't checked it out, really get to Dodger Stadium for a game. 16,000 parking spots. Just wrap your head around that. It is just a unique sports venue.
And Stan Kasten, when I spoke to him about some of the renovations for a story last year, he said they had some traffic engineers find out that from some of those parking spaces, it used to take people an average of 25 minutes to get to where they needed to go just to enter the ballpark. Now there's that beautiful center field facade, the new front door of Dodger Stadium that we all got to walk in, greeted by Sandy Koufax and Jackie Robinson.
A really great event. Want to thank everybody who came out. Also want to give a plug for this week's SBJ Sports Media podcast that is out this morning. Josh Carpenter and I talk about the potential of what would a Warner Brothers Discovery Paramount combined sports entity look like, talking CBS Sports and TNT Sports there. A lot of entities that could potentially be in that combined company. We also talk about Amazon's Prime Video getting into the Masters as a broadcast partner. Plus, we talk about all the recent talent changes at ESPN that are going on and what that means for the company. So, for Chris Smith, Bret McCormick, and Joe Lemire, I'm Austin Karp. This has been your Morning Buzzcast for Thursday, September 18th. Hope everybody continues to make good decisions out there, and we will talk to you all again soon.